Beautiful music there by Samawati Band, and we'll continue enjoying that music as we we'll go on with the show. Remember, you're still watching Power Breakfast right here on Citizen TV, and we continue with our news review, and there's a story on the front on page 4, The Standard. IEBC would spend over 4 billion shillings on Jubilee Party primaries, says ODM. Now, the other twist to that story is the fact that Jubilee Party actually wants the Exchequer Treasury, that's the taxpayer, to fund the party primaries. And of course, if Jubilee goes that way, of course, CORD will do the same. Do you agree that this is what should be happening, Bwana Kangata, because it's coming from your party?
Yes, it makes all the sense because, one, we know in most regions elections start and end during nominations. So therefore, the importance of a fair nominations is so crucial to so many candidates. And the only institution that is somehow competent to give a credible and fair nomination process is IEBC. And because these guys will talk after me, allow me first to expose them. This guy is the SG of Wiper, so he can easily write himself a nomination certificate. So he doesn't mind IBC or not, because ultimately I would imagine you'd even prefer IBC out, because he'll say this guy here, no, listen, this guy, my friend here, Daktari, wants to become the governor of Kakamega County. By doing that, he is competing with ODM. He is in Ford Kenya. So to him, nomination is not an issue per se. But for me, I am in Murang'a County. I want to become, God willing, let's say, a senator of Murang'a County. I'm competing against Kempi, who is quite a senior person in our party. The only way, the only way out I can get a credible nomination process is when we go before IBC, which is a credible organization. Yes. And we have a fair and square nomination, as opposed to a situation where that election is being done by a person who can easily be intimidated by the stature of my competitor. So the point is, in our region, and Luo Nyanza, I would imagine also, because in Luo Nyanza everyone knows when you clinch ODM, you are in. In Luo Nyanza, in Kikuyu land, in Kalenjin land, that is very material. But in Coast, where this guy is the SG, he can't, he doesn't mind. He'll sign himself a certificate. For him, again, he is alone. Okay,
one argument is whether or not to use IEBC in party primaries. The second is getting the taxpayer to actually foot the bill for the party primaries, because we will do it for Jubilee, we'll have to do it for Wiper, because they have to
two things there to reply to that. One, it's a legal requirement. The law, the new law which these guys brought into the National Assembly and we passed, provides that when a request is done by a party, IBC shall conduct the nomination. So no, I swear, look at the law. It talks about shall, meaning it's a must. So the question is, will parties request? And I would imagine for us there's a public pledge that
IEBC has to use taxpayers' money to conduct.
Of course, well,
do you agree with that process, Bwana Hassan Omar?
Yesterday I had my twin brother Mutula Kilonzo Jr. saying that that was not part of the agreement, that IEBC shall fund or shall facilitate party primaries. You know what the Jubilee is doing right now? It's created itself this monstrous problem. When it wanted to form JAB, it used the law to fix it. So they used their numbers to change the law, and some of us knew that they were signing their death warrant, so we allowed them to change it. So we even went in the Senate, we mobilized for them so that they can become the party and destroy themselves. And I remember some of them were telling us, so I said, fine, go watch it, wash away. So then that's said and done. Now they're using taxpayers, to fix their problems. Now they realize that everybody's saying that it's going to be mass fallout in Jubilee on the basis of their nomination process. When you create a big giant who has no direction, then the direction is that giant will collapse. Giants also are impeded in movement when you're not swift in terms of how you're organizing your politics. So for me, so what Jubilee is doing is to use the law and taxpayers' money to fix their problems. They should use their political processes and their wealth. I don't know where they get it from. Or some say they know where it comes from to settle their problem. So they can have this very transparent process. And after all, at this point in time, that request with IEBC is a travesty. IBC needs to be focusing on only one thing right now, the 2017 general elections. They are coming into office. They have no time for a Jubilee nomination process. So any IBC that purports that it is wanting to honor a request by Jubilee is an IBC that is setting itself up for failure and is out to scuttle the 2017 elections. So for me, in fact, to the my larger reading of it is that IBC is that they either want to do two things, Jubilee. Either they want to extend the date of elections, or they want to jeopardize the IBC's preparedness so that they can be able to botch the 2017 elections.
But once Jubilee goes that way, uses the IBC and actually gets taxpayers to fund the party primaries, every other party will want that same kind of treatment. I'm sure no party wants to spend the money on a process that you could actually get someone else to foot the bill.
Those wild remarks by Honorable Duale bring into focus one thing: political party funding. Kenyans must know, especially Honorable Irungu, who is an advocate and a lawmaker, that there is law on political party funding. And it says that you will get funding from the exchequer, and where you think that money is not enough, you fundraise locally and internationally. So instead of falling to money meant to buy drugs in hospitals to fund political party activities, please manage the funding that you have been receiving over the last 5 years as political parties from the exchequer. Secondly, where you find that that money is not enough, go and fundraise locally and internationally. Don't raid our coronary.
Incidentally, the headline on the Standard has to do with political party funding.
Yes.
And ODM Jubilee pockets about 400 million shillings from the state.
Imagine.
Yes.
Annually.
Then you go back to
an drugs meant to buy antibiotics so that children can die in hospitals. Kangata, I was listening to you. Would you like to listen to me? Don't go that route. We're going to fight it. And this myth that once you are on a particular party in a certain region, you are automatically elected is a lie. In Nyanza, Fort Kenya has got several members of parliament.
How many?
We have Kopio, your colleague, is Fort Kenya.
I'm asking how many.
Olako Luoj is Fort Kenya, your colleague.
And Wiper has one.
Wiper has an MP. And what is more, ODM has got elected leaders in Mount Kenya. Apuri is called Apuri. Apuri. So don't go that route. If you people have created a monster in the name of Jubilee, manage it.
No,
don't resort to public funds.
Yes, Barakar.
There is something we call the fallacy of false generalization.
Yes.
And that is the one which Daktari is committing.
I think
when you talk of...
You're the one who has committed
No. When you talk of 3 non-ODM members of parliament in Nyanza, you fail to appreciate how many are ODM. It's about 30 vis-a-vis 3. When you come to a region, it's about 2 vis-a-vis 50. Surely, you have to look at the interest of the majority. That's number one. Number two, this election is so unique in the sense that for the first time there will be no party hopping. So it will be a very painful experience for any politicians who has expended 50 million shillings.
You asked for it.
No. Allow, look here,
and we gave it to you.
Look here, we are talking of people who will be expending 100 million in an election. And by the way, it's allowable. Remember, we have the financing regulations which were published the other day setting ceilings of expenditure. So meaning potentially you can expend 100 million, 200 million to campaign for a gubernatorial position, and then you lose in an unfair process. So taking into account the nature of the uniqueness of this election, that there will be no party hopping, that it will be highly contested, that we have big parties controlling some regions, and the need to ensure nominations are free and fair is no longer a private interest of respective political parties, but now a public interest to ensure those people who are putting that effort, they feel the process is fair. To me, it makes all the sense for us to support it. As to those of you who will opt to do those nominations internally, fine. Like this guy can't mind. He's a senior person in the party. He can send for himself a certificate. You are one of the principals. No, look here. This guy here is a principal he is known to
the
be
deputy party leader of
the
Ford
deputy of party leader. He can send himself a certificate. Myself, I have no position in the political party. I am just a hustling member of parliament
that term hustler, when it is used in Jubilee, it means something else. But anyway, listen, we want to, contrary to what Kangata said, I thought the first one was a slip of tongue, but it's continued to repeat it. There shall be free and fair nominations, and I can tell you in Wiper, and Halwale is seated there. I know he's a man of impeccable integrity, and that also is in Ford Kenya. That applies. So that's said and done. There will be free and fair nominations. Definitely, the parties must look for ways and means to ensure that those safeguards of impartiality and those safeguards of a credible process are put into place, and that does require funding, and that's why you charge nomination fees. Those nomination fees are supposed to subsidize the party's expenses with respect to managing credible
in the Muli, we told Jubilee that merging constituent parties was not a wise thing. It is not too late. You can fall back to your original constituent parties. You cannot create a problem and go back to the public to fund the challenges that you are having. The reason why we don't have that kind of pressure in CORD, it is because CORD will only hold joint nomination for the presidential candidate. Otherwise, Wiper will have its own set of candidates and whatnot, and that is the multi-party democracy that we are talking about. So because you are looking for a monolith to control Kenya the way Kanu used to control Kenya, go that route, but don't rate our
let me do an estimate of what the ODM secretariat talked about with respect to 3 million per county.
Yes.
They're saying that the overall nomination process for the 5 seats minus the presidency will cost about 3 million for the process. So assume you're in Muranga and you pay 300,000 with Kembe Gitura, so you're already at 900,000.
Yes.
Assume there are 600,000. Assume there are 2 governor candidates, they each pay $500,000. You're already at 1 point.
So each party can actually afford to run.
Then if assume again you pay every MCA candidate across the Muranga County pay something, you will not be able to raise 3 million.
Let me read something here from page 4 of the Standard. President Uhuru Kenyatta and Deputy William Ruto's party Jubilee has said taxpayer will foot the bill for the primaries and are already engaging the IEBC ahead of the primaries to be conducted early next year. And assuming all major political parties, that is ODM, Jubilee, Wiper, and Amani, ANC, are to field candidates across the country,
22 billion,
and want IEBC to carry out the exercise, taxpayers would have to cough up as high as 20 billion shillings for that exercise, and that is in addition to the billions that IEBC will spend in managing the elections in August 8th next year. That is how we end up that discussion. I'm sure it is something that taxpayers...
But you must add a rider that the same 20 billion can be compared to the 27 billion that was spent on constructing the Thika superhighway. So we are sacrificing another Thika highway so as to make President Uhuru and Ruto manage their coalition.
Let's now take a look at the cartoon. Let's take a look at the cartoon on page 14 of the Standard. That's a discussion we need to have right now. The cartoon on page 14 of the Standard, and this is about the CORD presidential candidate. And we do have there a caricature. For those who don't have, you can be looking at this one now. Yeah, that's there. CORD presidential candidate, flag bearer. Of course, it has to do with what is happening, the fallout between, the perceived fallout between Kalonzo Musyoka and his hitherto ally, Johnson Muthama of the Wiper Party. We do have the Secretary General of the Wiper Party here to tell us what exactly is happening in his party. Senator Hassan Omar, what do you make of this cartoon first before we even discuss Kalonzo versus Muthama?
I mean, it's a satire. I mean, Gado is that he has his own legitimate right to satirize whatever he wishes to do so. Yeah. Oh, that's supposed to be Muthama. I thought that was Weta. So I'm not.
No, it could be. That is Wetangula.
That's Weta.
But who's holding the flag?
Raila. Yeah, because last election he held the flag. So I think that until that point we still call him the CORD presidential candidate, isn't it? So until that time when we make a decision to the contrary. So I think I mean this caricature has been Gado's conceptualization of Kenya's political space. He has consistently caricatured Kalonzo in that format. He's consistently caricatured Raila in that format. So I think it's just that he's running a narrative that is basically an opinion.
And of course now this brings us to the discussion about the fact that within Wiper there are already perceived splits between party leader Kalonzo Musyoka and his very close ally Johnson Muthama in terms of how you end up getting the presidential flag bearer. And of course comments made by your party leader while on a rally in the coastal region, and what we've seen after that, Johnson Muthama skipped your party National Executive Council meeting and went and held a different session elsewhere. We've seen that even Raila Odinga has invited Johnson Muthama and the other co-chairperson of the Code Management Committee, James Orengo, Senator James Orengo, to his house to actually quell what is perceived to be simmering discontent. But your party leader was clear that Johnson Muthama is actually working or rather supporting Raila Odinga to be the presidential flag bearer. Is this what is happening?
Listen, both of them have since said that is not truthful. I looked at the comments of Muthama, which he has not disputed in the Sunday Nation. Was the fact that the people who ran that narrative the following day again was Sunday Nation without the benefit of saying what Muthama did say. The other person who said a similar thing, you know, was also Kalonzo Musyoka, who's finally clarified that there's really nothing out of the context.
When you say that if I lose the presidential the CORD ticket, it will be because of you.
I think what you know, these issues. Let me tell you the context upon which these statements were made. You know, there is Muthama believes, and rightfully so, that every candidate who wants to contest in some of our strongholds must be a Wiper candidate. You know, Muthama is looking at the template where even Kirungu Kangata and colleagues were announcing that if Martha Karua wants to run for Kirinyaga, then he must fold her party and run under JP, and they told the same to Peter Kenneth. So this is the context upon which Muthama's argument was based. That please fold your party called Muungano and come into the Wiper party. The party's leader's point of view is, for as long as we are building the presidential basket, whichever party you might be on, but for as long as we are looking for a similar, you know, our objectives is the same, you might as well do it in your Muungano party. So that is part of what is called democratic contestation. That there's one opinion and there's another opinion. I am a Wiper Secretary General. I would love Professor Kibwana to seek his re-election bid on a Wiper ticket. You see what happens to us, and
that's the context according to you. And I think because of course it was at a rally where they were talking about something different.
No, that was the context.
The public dressing down that your party leader gave Johnson Muthama actually made him travel back to Nairobi and not proceed with the other rallies.
Let me tell you that. I've spoken. No, just a minute. I've spoken to Muthama about it. Muthama says the basis for him to leave was not based on the fact of whatever might have transpired there, because I went day 2, and I was not there day 3. So what happens when the party leader has a string of rallies? People join in and join out, come in and come out. Even Musila comes in and goes out. And what happened is
I have information you appear not to have.
Okay, tell me that information.
At the time when this incident took place at Sultan Hamud, I was with Hassan in Mombasa, so both of us were not there. But I have made consultations from Kalonzo, Mutula Kalonzo Jr. and Muthama. And the actual truth is, when Muthama left, it is because they had agreed that he leaves. Why? The daughter of the deputy governor, Kiala, had been kidnapped. So it was agreed that Muthama goes back to join
Then what happened on Monday when you meet the National Executive Council meet?
In fact, on Tuesday, yes, in the morning, it was communicated even to me that we're having a press conference at the Wiper Secretariat, at the CORD Secretariat, and we were also having the National Executive Council. The National Executive Council meeting was fixed a week, 2 weeks earlier, when we constituted the disciplinary committee meeting. The disciplinary committee that was supposed to report to us then, and therefore together with certain other issues on the agenda. So when Mudama is the co-chair to the CORD, Mudama is the co-chair of the CORD coalition. So if Mudama was not at pains to come to a Wiper meeting to prove to your psyche that there's no fallout and miss out on a CORD press conference, because if you looked at the people who issued the CORD press conference, was the 3 co-chairs. You see, we don't always play to the public gallery to try and manage a situation where, oh, the 2 of us are together here.
Therefore,
there are double issues. In fact, the media will bear
no need for Raila Odinga to invite Mudama and Orengo to his house to discuss
that's gossip in the Standard. I asked Orengo yesterday, and Orengo can bear me witness. He said there was no meeting.
There was no such meeting.
He told me himself.
And you see, this is nothing but just a spin, either by spin doctors in Jubilee or members of the media who want to sell a story. You see, let's assume, for argument's sake, that indeed Mudama is supporting Raila. What's the big deal? Raila is not in the Jubilee. We have had on many occasions none other than Kalonzo.
So he could be supporting Raila.
Can I? None other than Kalonzo say that I would support my brother Raila if he was the compromised presidential candidate. So if Mudama has said that, what would be wrong in, if Kalonzo has said that, what would be wrong in Mudama saying the same thing? So spin doctors, spare us.
Kangata, we are wrapping up this news review. Kindly give your final comments. You could choose to talk about this issue as well.
It is a fact that Wiper Party is now split. One key guy called Mudama is clearly rooting for Mr. Raila Odinga to become the presidential flag bearer of CORD, and Kalonzo Musyoka is not taking that lying down. I foresee a major split in CORD, and the person who is going to walk out will be Kalonzo Musyoka. Why? This guy has been in government since 1985. He became a member of parliament after a by-election, and since that time he has never been out of government. And he alluded to that fact the other day when he said, I do not want to be outside government again. He said it in clear terms, meaning to him, if he foresees a situation where these guys are going to nominate Raila Odinga, and according to him, and when you look at the remarks which he is said to have uttered this weekend, he assumes that if you give Raila that ticket, he can't win the general election. The same has also been said by his boss, that is Wakili Moses Wetangula, that if they give this ticket again to Raila Odinga, he does not have any new magic. So I foresee a fallout. That fallout will be headed by Kalonzo Musyoka, and because he cannot win by being alone again, the only logical thing for him is to come back home. Remember, he was our ally. Again, also my colleague Ford Kenya, again, they are also very bitter with an insinuation that a CORD candidate will be Raila Odinga. So therefore, I foresee again also them joining us, and therefore it will be CORD only comprised of ODM party. By the way,
final comment.
By the way, no. My final point. It makes all the sense. By the way, if you are a rational politician, never aim to stay in the cold. Join the winning team. It is about winning.
Let me tell you. The fact that contrary to what people say, other CORD leaders, like Mudama saying we've already chosen the candidate to Namujua. I'll be very honest with you. Contrary to what he's saying, definitely the coalition has to bite the bullet and choose a presidential candidate. That is a challenge, even if Jubilee today was in the opposition facing similar situations. So the situation in the opposition is fairly more unique, but I am confident as a person and as a party that we will hack it, and whatever consensus we'll arrive at with or to, we will definitely stick to it. The fact that we are raising our stakes is no basis to say that there's a fracture. You see, politics is about difference of opinion. There is a difference of opinion in Wiper, for instance, whether we should run as Wiper, we should allow Wiper party candidates you know, to run in a certain way, and allow also other candidates, for as long as they support the presidential bid of a CORD candidate. These are matters of discussion. So just the fact that people are discussing issues and they are emotive in their orientation, just because people are discussing issues and they appear to usurp part of the public psyche, does not mean that there's a fallout. People can have a difference of opinion and still remain as a unit. So Wetangula has a difference of opinion from Raila Odinga, from Kalonzo Musyoka, and they are not in this as in a housewarming party. They are actually in a party that is in competition for power, and as parties are in competition for power, whatever these parties are doing is legitimate.
Finally, Senator Halwale.
I want to advise viewers who support us in CORD to completely delete from their minds the suggestion by Honorable Irungu that we are going to break. We will not. I'm a doctor of medicine, and I can tell you for a fact that when a woman is in labor, the highest moment of pain is when the child is just about to drop out. So the pain that we are going through as CORD is symbolism that we are about to give birth to our flag bearer. Nothing unique.
Okay. On that note, we end our news review right here on Citizen TV Power Breakfast. It's been wonderful having Senators Boni Halwale and Hassan Omar from Kakamega and Mombasa counties respectively, as well as National Assembly member Irungu Kangata from Kiharu constituency, helping us look at the headlines this morning. Remember, Power Breakfast continues. From me, Fred Ndimuli, it's good morning.